Tyler, your pictures, of course, are about individuals, but I'm curious about what we can't see. Can you give us an idea of how many people are affected this way?
Well, when we first, speaking from my personal experience of arriving there, we land at this small airstrip in Mogadishu. We're picked up by local Somali security. We went directly over to where new arrivals were coming. There were hundreds of people who had actually just arrived, and this is the kind of thing that you just can't you can't make up. It's not like a place that you have to look very far. Everywhere in the city, there are people streaming in. Particularly, the thing that jumped out at me is the amount of children and how incredibly frail they were. They're women. Just almost every single one of them is carrying. At times, just it looks like skin and bones, and I honestly, there were moments that I didn't even know if the child that they were carrying was alive until they shifted and you could see that the child was moving. So this was within an hour of arriving in Mogadishu, I was already seeing these scenes. So that really gave me an indication of how serious it was and how many people there actually were coming into the city.
In terms of the people who are truly starving that we see in your photographs, are we talking about dozens, hundreds, thousands?
Oh, thousands, many thousands of people. And the fact that they're actually coming into Mogadishu, one of the most unsafe cities in the entire world, says a lot about the condition of what they're experiencing in their villages and how desperate they have to be. I mean, there's actually fighting going on within Mogadishu, and people are willing to come from the countryside, selling their farms, selling their livestock, doing anything they can to get there and look for help.
In the article that accompanies your photographs in the New York Times today, written by Jeffrey Gettleman, Gettleman says that a lot of the people in Mogadishu and Somalia are trapped there and cannot get out to the refugee camps in neighboring Kenya and other countries. Why are they trapped?
That's because the Shabab, the Islamist militant group that is controlling different parts of Somalia, are actually keeping people in their areas. They don't accept a lot of the Western help and the Western the aid that is needed desperately there, and they want to keep those people in those areas. It's a matter of controlling those areas, controlling the people, and so a lot of the people coming out saying they weren't able to leave, they were not able to flee those villages and get to where they thought that they could find food. So this is why the situation has become so much worse.
Is the Shabab keeping Western aid from reaching those people in Somalia? Are they getting anything from outside the country?
There is some aid trickling in here and there. There have been reports of a little bit of aid arriving in some of these places, but it's actually, a lot of these organizations are Western organizations. They're not warmly welcome. The Shabab has killed a number of these people in the past, so it's really unpredictable. It's dangerous for them to actually go in and deliver aid. So this is a big problem as far as getting that to the people.
One of your photographs is particularly striking. It's a photograph of a child lying in a fetal position, clearly starving to death. And I wonder if you could tell us the story of that picture.
Yeah, it's really, the scene in the hospital was really shocking. I mean, I've worked in many countries. I've been in Haiti, Afghanistan, all over Africa. I've been to a lot of really bad hospitals, and I have to say this was the worst that I've ever seen as far as the number of children who were just literally, I mean, we saw one child that just died in the hospital when we were there. This particular child didn't die in front of us, but like I was describing, it's just you have these children that literally look like you can't believe that they're still breathing. They're so skeletal, and this child was just laying on a table. There are cots that are all completely occupied. Some of them have multiple children stacked up on them, and then you have just little any kind of table or any place where a child could fit is where they put them. And this particular child, really, it struck me how skinny this child was, and the position of how the child was laying on the table was just really striking, and I thought really got that point across of how desperate it is there. And so this was just one of many children who really are suffering as a consequence of this famine.
Once these people reach the hospital in Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia, is there aid for them there? Is there food for them there? Is there medical care?
There's very little for them there. They don't really have much there at the hospital either. I mean, these people are showing up with no money. The hospital doesn't have anything. They don't even have, I mean, very few of them even have mosquito nets. There are just thousands of flies infesting the whole area all over the children. And they can't even afford to buy a simple mosquito net, something that would only cost a few dollars, that would greatly improve their situation there. Basic things, you know, IVs, food, clean water, they're all a problem to get into Mogadishu, which is such a difficult place to get aid into right now. So really, the people are desperate.
You were in Mogadishu for 4 days. I wonder, in the time that you were there, any signs of improvement, any hopeful signs?
Not at all. If anything, it appeared that this would probably get worse before it gets better. And I mean, for example, there was one farmer who showed up. The farmer whose daughter died. He showed up. He had sold his farm for $100 so he could afford to get his family to Mogadishu. This is how desperate the people are. I mean, they're arriving literally with nothing, and it's a very desperate situation for them.
Tyler Hicks, photojournalist for the New York Times, thank you very, very much for your help.
Thank you.